Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be reunited with Adolfo with his movie To All the Girls I Could Have Loved Before. Let's take a look at the clip.
Todo comenzó cuando fui por segunda noche consecutiva al cine. Ahora que lo pienso, Jennifer Lawrence quizás sea la culpable de todo lo que pasó después.
You have an accent. Where are you from?
Sometimes I'm closing and sometimes I'm not.
Cuba.
To the gays who approach bored girls at the bar, the real gentleman.
I think I have a little crush on you.
Do you like women?
Adolfo, I'm so happy to see you after being an alumni and many years. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, Danny.
We're just so grateful, and thank you for also coming in from New York and being here as well. And thank you for bringing more movies to us. And as always, we love your films, and so thank you for bringing this special one to us. But for those that haven't seen your film, tell us a little bit about it.
Our short film, it's titled To All the Girls I Could Have Loved Before. And it's about this Cuban gay immigrant man in New York who has a crush on a girl or on a beautiful woman at a bar. And for the first time in his life, he's questioning his sexuality.
I mean, it's brilliant because like we don't often see a story in reverse, do we? You know, and I was like, I've never felt this before. This is amazing, you know, as well to visualize that. Where did this idea come for you, Adolfo? Where did that kind of transpire?
So this story was written by a friend of mine, and it's based on a real life experience that he had when he was living in Montreal.
Yeah.
So he had this blog and all these stories of things that happened to him. And I loved this short story when I read it, and I asked him permission to adapt it into a screenplay and film it.
Yeah.
In the hopes that maybe I can at some point produce and film more of his stories.
Yeah.
So it's original story based on real life, and I also wanted to direct something written by someone else. It's the first time that I direct some story that it's not originally mine.
How was that experience for you? Because that's always quite a challenge, because you obviously want to make sure that you take care of the script and that you can transpire the script into being this visual. How was that experience working together?
It was harder than I thought it was gonna be. Because first, to adapt the story into a screenplay, I remember the first drafts. I had Carolina Jimenez, the producer, that she helped me from the beginning, and she was like, no, this is not good. So I had to learn to take from the story what was good for the screen, and also capture the feeling, and that was a process more difficult than I expected. I thought it was gonna be just, the story's written, let's just shrink it and make it 10 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't help but self-reflect, and I thought, I was watching it, and I was like, have I ever questioned my sexuality of being straight? Like, I was like watching it through his eyes. It's a really clever story, actually. But I love the way that, honestly, these characters, you know, kind of unveiled in the story, because, you know, we haven't really seen it from this particular perspective. And it is a strange thing when you're maybe attracted to someone that you wouldn't normally necessarily be attracted to. Obviously, in this case, the opposite sex. How was this experience finding the cast? Because your cast really delivered this story so well. I loved your cast. And how was that experience and finding those characters and then working with them as a director?
The protagonist, Carlos Gonzalez, is my friend, and it was also one of the reasons I wanted to make this film, because he's a great actor.
So good.
And also he's Cuban immigrant, and I knew that he could understand the story perfectly well. And then I started to find the rest of the cast, asking friends. Nancy MacArthur, the co-protagonist, I found her through another friend that had done casting for a movie, and he wanted her, but because of schedule conflicts, they didn't end up working together. But I got the chance to meet Nancy, and the rest of the cast also asking friends. I don't do casting.
Yeah.
Like I ask and people show me a picture or I check their Instagram. I like
Yeah.
if at least they have the look, then I have a meeting with the actors, and based on our conversation, I can tell if they can represent the character we need for the story. So that was pretty much how I did with all the cast.
And how in working with the process with this, like in this particular film, how did you work with your actors in terms of things like rehearsal and sort of building those characters? How was that experience for you?
I don't like rehearsing either. We did like one morning we did a reading of the script. We talked about the characters. We talked about what was happening, and then on set we would block the scenes and rehearse a little bit. But I would ask them never to give me too much in the rehearsals because I think that there is something magic and surprising that happens in the first takes. So I like to discover that on camera, not in the rehearsal process. So we just talk about the scene, and I have some things that I know how I want them, and there are things that I'm not sure about, and so I like to leave that to the actors.
Yeah.
And they usually, I think they enjoy that too.
Yeah, and so I love that you gave them the room to kind of express and let them naturally sort of evolve. One thing I really love about the films that I've seen that you've made is that it's so beautifully shot. Like you really captured the magic, and it was even more special to see it on the big screen because it was just a really beautiful, like suburban New York kind of feel. That dark bar, it just was so rich. How did you go about knowing? Because obviously a lot of it was set at night. How was the experience for you in terms of how you wanted to look and feel?
I wanted it to be a beautiful romantic comedy film. So the first step was to find a good cinematographer that would, and we were very lucky to find this very young DP that, not to diminish him, but to highlight how good he was, because he's in his early 20s.
Wow.
And he did this beautiful cinematography, Luke Ong, that's his name. And from there we worked on a storyboard. We started looking for locations, and something that we realized at some point was that all the locations had neon lights. Like the first location is outside the Paris movie theater, and then the bar that we found, Icon Astoria, is the name of the bar in Queens.
Yeah, I literally maybe want to go, actually.
Yeah. It had a lot of neon lights outside, inside, so it ended up becoming kind of a theme in the film. Even the titles of the film, I ended up asking the graphic designer to make them look like neon lights. So I think that helped, those colors, and we also used the change of lights and colors in the bar, which makes sense, and it's just in a bar with the music, the colors are changing all the time. So we used it also as an expressive way to portray the pass of time or the change of emotions in what was happening with the actors.
It was nice because it really added to the romantic element of it, that sort of like beautiful night vibe that only you can really get in New York City. It's just got this extra level of element that it's just got this richness, hasn't it? As you know, you live there and that experience. This is a really hard question, by the way, okay? Because we're going back a few years, but obviously the last time we got to do this was 2017. Yes. It was still a very fantastic film, funny as well, really, really good. Which you filmed in Cuba, right? That was the film you filmed in Cuba. And goodness me, life has gone on. 2017, we've been through a lot in that time. So what are we talking? We're talking almost like seven years, right?
Yeah.
A long journey as a filmmaker, a long journey as a human being. Like, since making that film to where we are today, what have you learned? What things have you really adapted to learn as part of you as a creative artist? Like, what things have you felt from that person who made that film to where you are today?
First of all, I had to adjust to my new reality. I was living in Cuba, and then I came to the US.
That's right.
And that's one of the reasons it took me so long to make a film here. So this short film was also like my school or my way of learning how to produce films in the United States. So it took me a while,
Yeah.
like 5-6 years. But finally, thanks to the help of friends like Carolina Jimenez, the producer, and two very good friends that executive produced the film and supported me with big chunks of the money that we needed for the film, Mariela Kipildor and Erwin Halderman, we were able to shoot it. But basically, it was this challenge of dealing with things like my expectations, adjusting them. I thought it was gonna be easier to make a film here because in Cuba we have many restrictions. Maybe we don't have enough resources, or you have to deal with the censorship of the government.
Yeah.
But here, when expecting it to be easier, I found out that there is so much bureaucratic work to do, especially with things like SAG-AFTRA. Like we only had one SAG-AFTRA actor. There is so much paperwork involved.
Yeah.
You need to get the city permits to shoot in New York City.
Which is hard.
So a lot of insurance. The expenses go always higher than you expect because of all these things, taxes, whatever.
Yeah.
So.
So a lot of different. You really got to find out. I mean, this New York City is also. I mean, it's one of the most amazing places to shoot a film. But obviously, we know there's a lot of restrictions because it's such a. Everybody wants to film there, right? So, but well done. But how does it feel then, going on that journey and then finally, obviously, making a film here? What's the experience been like seeing your film up in the big screen, and how's that experience been for you?
It's been very gratifying and also satisfying in the sense that it makes it a reality that I already made a film in the U.S. Coming here as an immigrant, I thought it was gonna be very hard. I was very determined, but you hear stories and it's hard.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy that I have a very good community of friends and supporters that helped me continue my dreams as a filmmaker.
I mean, it's amazing. I'm honestly, as you know, at New Filmmakers LA, we're just super proud of you because we still remember when you were literally like, just moved to the United States, from Cuba, here, just, had your film, and then just knowing that how well you developed, and you've been doing great things in front of camera, behind camera, and your work is very exquisite and very vast. So we're just so grateful. So well done for making this film. Dare I ask you, what is next in the mind? Where are you taking us next in your next project?
So I'm working on a script of a feature film about, it's a psychological thriller that happens during the 13 days of the Cuban Missile Crisis. It happens in Cuba, but I probably shoot it in the US because almost everything is inside a house.
Okay.
And I would also like to make more of Raul's stories, Raul Reyes Mancebos, who wrote To All the Girls I've Loved Before.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of TV series like a Sex and the City with an immigrant gay Cuban man in New York. Something like that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So those are the two main projects. And also I'm working with Spectrum News, New York One, as a senior video editor. At a magazine program about Broadway and performing arts in the city.
I know.
We have got some Emmy nominations, and so
I know you've done so much. Like you've been in West Side Story on Broadway. Like you've done so many amazing things over your career, and we're just super happy to have you here. Keep making more movies for us, please. Okay, and thank you so much for bringing this film, and we're looking forward to your next project. And I'm glad that we're going back to Cuba because to your beautiful home country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me again at New Filmmakers LA. It's always a great experience, especially with all the events that you organize and the new networking opportunities, and having the chance to see the film with an audience is amazing. So thank you, Danny.
Of course. Adolfo, everybody, thank you very much.